doing fine and you all are healthy. Before we begin, let me give you a brief overview of the diploma that we are taking session of. As the name suggests, this qualification or diploma is for those individuals and professionals that are interested in the environment and ecological safety and whose job demands them to know the concepts related to the health, safety, not only for their team and organization, but also for the environment. This qualification integrate the ESG, the concept of ESG, that is environment, social and governance principle in the policy, in the theory, and finally in practice. I hope all of you can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can hear.
All right. Okay. Now, this qualification is approved by the office. After this, the learners are eligible to progress to the master's topper program in UK and other countries like Wales, etc. Basically, the regulated qualification framework of this degree, according to the RQF or the regulated qualified framework, that it has this degree, this diploma has an equivalency of the master's level. Okay. And on your screens, you can see the units that you will be taught here that will be discussed during this throughout this whole diploma throughout the period, as you you must have already seen in the schedule shared in the WhatsApp group. We have four mandatory units. Those are: number one, fundamentals of sustainability; number two, environmental science and energy transition; number three, environmental management in the organization; and number four, the research method. Then we have the optional unit that whoever you will be taught, or we will be discussing all of these 9 units during our sessions. But however, whoever is interested in different optional units can opt to join those sessions as per their demand, as per their uh, choice. Now, the optional units includes delivering transformational change, advanced principles of net zero, environmental politics and policies, sustainable finance and sustainability as a business strategy. Now, based on the learning outcome in each and every session during this whole diploma, um, you would have to submit a report as well. I will guide you at the end of the session regarding how to write that report. All of the instructors or all of the people that will take the session, that will lead the session, will actually guide you on how to prepare the report, the written essay that you are supposed to submit in order to get a passing grade in this during this diploma. They will guide you according to the scenario, according to the learning outcome, that how you are supposed to write that report, and how much is the word limit, and what type of citations that you need to require. And let me introduce you all to myself. I am Aisha, a PhD scholar from Pakistan, and my major is in environmental sciences throughout my whole educational career. I have also done several internships in health, safety, and environment quality departments of different organizations. And also, I'm teaching at Quaid-e-Azam University, Islamabad, in the very department that I'm doing my PhD from. Now, I would be very delighted if you all introduce yourselves here to each other and to me.
Hi, I am Muhammad Khalid, electrical engineer from Qatar.
All right, nice to meet you, Sir Khalid. Please, all of you, please introduce yourselves so that we can continue with the session, so that we know that who is attending the session. And
Hello.
please.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Asad, BS in Disaster Management. Now I am doing a job as an environment specialist in Saudi Arabia.
All right, nice to meet you, Mr. Asad. Alrighty, we have here Mr. Suhail Abid. We also have Mr. Munib Ashraf. We have Ms. Hina Imtiaz, and we have Abdulaziz Zakria. It's nice talking to you all. So I think we should begin today's session. Now, the Unit 1, as I already stated, as you must have already seen from the previous slide, that Unit 1 is the fundamentals of sustainability. Now, first on our agenda, we have a very, very, very important concept. This concept of sustainability is very, very important. Now, keep that in your minds that the concept of sustainability is the backbone of ESG. Whole idea of the ESG is based on this concept of sustainability or sustainable goals. So I would like to know that what is your understanding of the concept of sustainability? Can anyone please explain or briefly describe that what is your understanding of the word sustainability?
Sustainability is the ability to maintain or support the process over a long time.
Exactly. That's the main idea of the concept of sustainability. It's actually the concept that we can use the resources in however way we want, but we have to keep in mind that the future generation also need the very same resources that we are using. It actually entails, or this concept of sustainability entails, that any development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. Basically, what is happening, that if an organization, if a business firm is utilizing a resource, for example, water from a water body, it needs to keep in mind that it has to utilize water in a way that the future generation, or maybe the future generation of the same organization, have or would also require to use the same water from the same water body. So it has to use that resource in a way that it is preserving that resource for the future generation or for a long time, as Mr. Khalid states. Now, this concept was introduced first in 1987 in the report by the World Commission on the Environment and Development. The name of the report was Our Common Future. Today, almost 140 or 150 countries are seeking ways to meet the developing needs, although those states are called developing countries, but obviously at the cost of the environment. We are extracting resources from the environment without any regard to the preservation of those resources. So, of course, United Nations has put forward some goals known as SDGs, or the Sustainable Development Goals, to guide these developing nations that they could practice their developing needs or their development in a way that they can preserve those resources that they are using for their development for the future generation as well. Now, these goals, as you can see on your screens, if range from water to air, food to health, and basic necessities. Basically, it involves each and every aspect of the life, each and every aspect of the development those nations are working on. And these sustainable development goals, these SDGs, are meant to be fulfilled by the year 2030. Now, on your screen, you are seeing that some of the key international agreements on the climate change. Basically, the concept of sustainability was introduced when the people or the organizations, the political bodies or the researchers observed the drastic or the dangerous effect the human activities are imposing over the environment. Just like I gave you the example of the water body, that we are extracting water from different water bodies in a way without any regard for thinking about any regard or the thought about our future generation. We are polluting this water. Now, the water pollution and the other activities, like for example, discharge of the gases like carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, like methane, and different other gases from the vehicle, from the factories, is putting the air, the water bodies, and the environment into a condition that we call climate change, that is the changing climate. Now, the change in climate is affecting all of us. You must have realized, or you must have observed, the changing rain pattern all over the world, where it was not possible for rain to persist over long duration of time. You see the flooding over there, the flash floods, the urban floods over there, right? So this is the concept of climate change, that the whole climate is changing because of the anthropogenic activities. So basically, the concept of sustainability is also related to that, the concept of climate change. Now, some of the when the whole global bodies or the researchers or the influential people notice these changes, or the notice the data that in future all the activities, all the human beings that are, what human beings are doing would be obviously putting some dangerous effect all over the world or all over the globe. They introduce different concepts, like you can see on your screen, that there are some key international agreements or some treaties or some signatories on the topic of climate change and hence the sustainable development. First one is the Montreal Protocol, that in 1987, and that was done for the that is a treaty that was done to study and to stop the depletion of the ozone layer. Now, this concept will be taught to you in future sessions, but I will be briefly telling you what is the ozone depletion. Now, basically, the chemicals that we are using, especially the old school refrigerators and the old ACs, actually used to, or still now are emitting some substances we call as chlorofluorocarbons. Actually, those have fluoride and chloride molecules that is reacting with the ozone. Ozone is present in our sky, you can say, or the stratosphere, the layer which is actually protecting us from the UV radiation coming from the sun. Otherwise, all of the human beings, especially living on the equators or and the other human beings, would be developing cancer, because the UV radiations are cancerous, are mutagens. Okay, so this ozone layer was developed by our ecosystem in order to protect us from those dangerous UV radiations. So because of the anthropogenic activities, because of the human being activities, that ozone layer was creating a hole which is now repairing itself. So in 1987, this Montreal Protocol was actually established or was put forward in order to study, in order to find the ways to mitigate this ozone depletion. Then we have the United Nations Framework Convention on the Climate Change in 1992. Obviously, as the name suggests, it talked about how the climate can be made into what it was before when we started to destroy it. Then we have the Kyoto Protocol, Paris Agreement. These are also related to the Kyoto Protocol, is related to reduction of the greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases are the gases that are creating the climate change, like carbon dioxide, like carbon monoxide, like methane, like those chlorofluorocarbons, etc. And the Paris Agreement was done again for the mitigation of the climate change. Then we have the recent biodiversity framework known as Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework that deals with what? That we have to preserve the ecosystem. We have to preserve the species, because some of the species, because of the human activities, are going to extinct, and then there will be no way to bring them back. So these are some of the key international agreements on the climate change. These are actually related to, you may find it that the climate change and the sustainability are not related, but actually they are related, because they have a common goal and they have a common starting point. That is our activities, our developing activities, our destruction of the resources, etc. So these are the important international agreements on the climate change that you need to keep in your mind. Related to this, we have some international key international organizations that are dealing with the concept of sustainability. For example, we have the United Nations Environmental Program, UNEP, and that is responsible for the coordination of different environmental issue, and that is responsible for the coordination of the sustainable development goal towards other nations. Now we also have IUCN, that is International Union for the Conservation of the Nature. We have the United Nations Food Policy Food Program. Again, it is related to the food security of the world, which is also one of the SDG, that is Sustainable Developmental Goal. We have IPCC, that is Intergovernmental Panel on the Climate Change, that has the responsibility to provide scientific research, even it's in a form of funding or in a form of finding, that how can we stop this whole scenario or this whole concept of climate change from affecting our lives, and how we can achieve the sustainable developmental goal. Then we have WWF, that is the Worldwide Fund for the Nature, that is also related to the protection of ecosystems, protection of the resources, protection of the animal and the plant species throughout the world. Now, all these organizations are working all over the world. They is in each and every member country, and they are working and striving to attain the sustainable developmental goal. Now, the concept of sustainability, obviously sustainability, the concept, as I already mentioned, that it is dealing with each and every aspect of your lives, each and every aspect of the this whole climate change, each and every aspect where organizations, where the employees, where the common people, where the governments are working on. And in order to concise or the put into small words or put into small categories, we have divided the concept of sustainability into three pillars. The first one is the most obvious one, that is the environmental pillar. Obviously, the environment, the sustainability is dealing with the environment. The water, if we have a goal, if we go back to the slide where the sustainable development goal are present, for example, we have goal number 6 that states the clean water and sanitation to everyone. So if we are the water and water body is a part of your environment, right? If we are not protecting the environment, then how we will be able to get clean water? Or if we are not sanitizing the water, for example, if the industry is polluting a water body, how would we able to give the local people over there or the future generation in the area clean water? So this a pillar of the sustainability deals with the environment. Water is just an example that I gave you. Obviously, the sustainable development goals deals with the air. They are dealing with the energy sector as well. They are dealing with each and every aspect of our lives. But if we consider those aspects in terms of environment, so the sustainability actually is stating that the sustainable developmental goals are stating that those goals must be fulfilled in a way that it is protecting the environment. The second pillar is social pillar. Obviously, we will let me take the same example, the goal number 6, that is clean water and sanitation. Obviously, cleaning the water or cleaning up the messes by the organizations or the firms in that the very same water body they're extracting water from would not only aid the environment, but also would be of advantage to the people or the society over there. Providing clean water to the society throughout the generation, not presently, but also for the future generation, is obviously has a societal value. Obviously, the society will benefit from it. The same would be the case with the economic pillar. If the organization that is polluting that water body or is over exploiting the water body doesn't have that water, that is, for example, if the organization or the business or the firm is a cement industry whose functions are dependent on the water, okay, very much. The cement industry utilize a lot of water, right? So if within 10 years it has depleted that water body where it from which it was extracting water, so what would be the benefit to that cement industry? None, right? Obviously, it doesn't have the water. It would have to provide water from it would have to get the water from the long distances, which would obviously put an economic constraint on that organization. So obviously, for its own economic benefit, the organization need to conserve the resources, need to clean up its own mess, and needs to find sustainable ways to use those resources. So these are the 3 main pillars of the sustainability. Now we have a very related concept with the related concept with the sustainability, that is corporate social responsibility, or CSR. It is actually the responsibility of an organization for the impact of its decisions and activities on the society and the environment through transparent and ethical behavior. Now, basically, what it states that any organization that is working, any organization, any industry, any business, any firm, whatever it is doing, whatever its activities are, the impact of the decisions that that organization is taking, the impact of the activity that organization is creating or doing, is the responsibility of that organization. For example, if the cement industry is over exploiting the water, that is the responsibility of that particular cement industry. If the water is being polluted, if the water is being depleted, it is the responsibility of that cement industry to make up for that. It is the responsibility of that cement industry to find the ways to clean up that water, or to use some other methods where the water is used in a less quantity. So basically, concept of CSR is a self-regulating business model where the organization needs to, they are responsible to regulate themselves. And this regulation would obviously assist the company or the organization to be socially accountable to the public, to itself, and to its stakeholders. Now, just like the concept of sustainability, the concept of CSR or the corporate social responsibility also have pillars, different pillars. Like you can see, number one is environment. Obviously, the organization, the concept of sustainability or the corporate social responsibility, number one is always environment, that you have to keep in check the air quality, the environment, the emissions, the pollution, and anything that is putting harm or in harm to the environment, that is giving negative impacts to the environment, that it is the duty of the organization to keep that in check, because ultimately this harm to the ecosystem, this harm to the environment will ultimately affect the very same firm or organization in the future, be it 5 years, be it 10 years, or be it 20 years. But ultimately, the effect will be on that organization. The second one is workplace. Obviously, the workplace within an organization is very important. And this concept of corporate social responsibility needs to keep in mind that the workplace environment, the positive workplace environment is very essential for the growth of that particular organization. You have to keep in mind the customer care. You have to keep in mind the government investment, the leadership, the employee benefits, and you have to keep in mind that you are providing equal opportunities to each and every employee. You are properly training your employee, you're giving benefits and benefits to your employees, you are giving rewards to the employee. Ultimately, actually, what is saying that you have to keep a positive environment within an organization, because ultimately this thing will affect your own organization. The third one is community. Obviously, community is important. The area, the local people where that firm, organization, or business or a factory is located, it has to keep in mind the benefits of the people living around it, because obviously the activities of that organization would be affecting the people. For example, if it is emitting dangerous gases, it is not only polluting the environment, it is not only affecting the environment, but also to the local people. It might be causing some dangerous disease to the local people, which is very harmful for the benefit of that particular society, etc. Then fourth one is philanthropic. Like, it has to keep in mind that it has to give benefit to the society as well, like the different like for example giving some alms in the charity, communicating the, for example, if they are researching on something, to communicating the results of that research to the community, either it is the community, it is local community, or either it's a global community. Investing and funding in research and development, investing or giving volunteering services to the people, depending on your location, depending upon your interest, educating different people of the society, educating different areas about how you are functioning or how your activities would be beneficial to the people, or giving donations, etc. Hence, concept of sustainability and the concept of corporate social responsibility deals with every aspect of life, from environment to the individual, from ecosystem to the people, and it involves all the stakeholders. Now, the word stakeholders actually describe everyone, each and every person that has an impact uh, on them of any activity. For example, if I will give you an example of cement industry, the stakeholder for the cement industry would be the employees working over there, the leaders working over there, the local community where that factory is located, and maybe the political or the government or the local government over the area. All of these would be the stakeholders. Furthermore, the people where that factory is getting its goods from, or the raw materials from, they are also included in stakeholders. So we have to consider each and every aspect in order to preserve our future, preserve the future of the future generation. So the concept of CSR and sustainability though have similar meaning, but they have differences as well. Number one, the vision is different. Like the CSR, the corporate social responsibility, often look backwards and reflect what the company has done to contribute to the society, as I have already implied. But the concept of sustainability is actually for the future. We are thinking about the future generation. We are preserving things for the future generation. So the vision is somewhat different. Although the end goal is same, but the vision is somewhat different. The targets. The targets of the CSR initiatives are often those who are opinion formers, like the media, like the politicians, or the pressure groups that are putting the pressure on those organizations to do some charitable work, to do something good for the employees or for the society or for the country. However, the sustainability actually looks at the whole value chain. It actually targets each and everyone, from the dealers, from the raw material givers, to the customers, to the political bodies, and to the international bodies as well. And lastly, the CSR initiatives are actually those initiatives that are additional to the company's primary economic objective. But because obviously the company was built to make profit, the company was built to sell something, right? But the CSR initiatives are something that is additional to their main goal of making profit. CSR is actually what it is giving benefit to the society as well as itself, right? So it is something additional, it is something extra that organization is doing to build more profit and to do some good. But the sustainability actually is what that it has to be incorporated into the core strategy. It has to be incorporated into each and every small step, each and every small step, from manufacturing, from getting raw materials to the manufacturing, to the production of that product, and to the usage of that product, and to the destruction or the recycling of that product. So sustainability has to be embedded in every core strategy, in every core operation. Now, just like other concepts, CSR too is being manipulated by the organization. This is what we call unsustainable CSR. Basically, those initiatives and the practices that the organization is taking into account or is thinking of doing are not viable or effective in a long term. Most of the time, those actions, those steps taken by the organization, that they say that, oh my God, this is what we have planned for the corporate social responsibility, responsibility for our organization, but for the long term, they are not very viable or not very effective. Either the activities are not were not very they were not very thoughtful when thinking of those activities, so they have very limited impact, or maybe the alignment or the goals or the objectives were not aligned with the main business objectives, and they are not creating any profit, or maybe they are getting losses from those activities. Or maybe obviously financial impact. Those activities are imposing significant financial burdens over the company, so obviously in that cases those CSR, the company or the firm, the organization would cease all those CSR activities. This is something related to some genuine problem, right? But we have some other concept, some cheat codes for those organizations that say that they are practicing CSR, but in reality, they are actually practicing unsustainable corporate social responsibility. And those cheat codes are: number one, greenwashing. Now, greenwashing is actually what? False or misleading statements about the environmental benefit of a product or a practice. One of the most famous example is in the past, the Volkswagen claimed that they are producing vehicles that has reduced amount of emissions, but they were accused and fined of cheating on the pollution test and modification of the engineering software. Similarly, in the past, the Walmarts also claimed that some of their products are made up of bamboo, which is environmental friendly. But later on, it was found out that they were made up of plastic and some other material which was not very environmental friendly. So they were fined by the international courts. So these are some of the examples for the greenwashing, that what they are claiming is not true. Other concept is tokenism. Now, it doesn't involve the false claim, unlike the concept of greenwashing, but it actually is something related to you're doing some CSR, corporate social responsibility activities, but you are only doing this because you just want to prevent the criticism over your organization, or you are doing it for appearances only. You are not very genuine about the benefits to the organization, or benefit to the people, or benefit to the community. For example, we have Nestle's tokenism, like their global reforestation program, their EcoShape water bottle. These are the examples of tokenism, because you must be aware that Nestle, I'm sorry if anyone among you is a Nestle employee, but I would say that Nestle is not very genuine in its CSR activities or in its SDGs, because wherever it goes, wherever this company goes, is destroying the water bodies of that country or the place. Now, what do you think is the true disadvantage of all these? Those organizations practicing greenwashing, practicing tokenism, what do you think would be the disadvantage to all those organizations? Please give your input. Anyone? What could be the in your mind? What could be the negative aspect, or the disadvantages to that particular organization regarding the greenwashing and regarding the tokenism? Obviously, they would get disadvantage over the fact that it would develop some trust issues by the customers. Obviously, the customers would not trust them in the future, which would lead to their economic loss, which would lead to the loss in their sales. Now, related to this, we have a concept that is the tragedies of the common. Now, it's actually the situation where the individuals act in their self-interest and without the regard for others. For example, if I will again give the example of a cement industry. The cement industry is utilizing a lot of water for its activities, for the production of the cement, obviously, and obviously it is acting on in its self-interest without any regards to the availability of the water for the local people, for the local community, or for the future generation. So that is the tragedy of the common, that the common person is not getting what they were supposed to get. Instead, everyone acting upon their own self-interest is depleting or destroying that particular resources without any regard to the future, without any regard to the other person, without any regard to the neighbors as well. Now we have this related concept of sustainable consumption, because we were discussing the sustainable development goals and obviously the concept of greenwashing, tokenism, unsustainable CSR, etc. So this concept is actually goal number 12 of the SDGs, that is Sustainable Development Goals, and it includes some indicators, like, for example, we have number 1, material footprint. That is the raw material, the consumption of the raw material, the extraction of that raw material, like minerals, like ores, like biomass, like water, like fossil fuel, etc., by the organization or the business firm for the consumption, either in their raw form, original form, or transference of or production of manufacturing goods and services. It includes all the steps taken from the material extraction to the material processing and finally its end of the life. Either processes are the sustainable or not? Are the or all those steps taken to develop a product to extract the responsibility of the organization to consider it, that all of the steps during the manufacturing, during the extraction of the raw material, or during the selling of the your product, or even after the destruction of the product, or after the product has reached its end of life cycle, all of the steps should be sustainable. All of the steps should be in a way that it is not over exploiting the resources, that it is not destroying the ecosystem for ourselves and for the future generation. The second one is consumption of hazardous chemicals. It involves what and how many million tons of the materials are you consuming, are you or your organization is consuming, what type of product is being formed, is this product being imported, exported, are they hazardous to the human health or to the environment or to the both? All of these things are to be kept in mind. Then we have the circular material use rate. Like the material extracted, used, recovered, and fed back to the economy. How much of the material was extracted and how much of the material was recycled or was reused during the manufacturing process. And the last one is the generation of waste. What type of waste your activities, are producing, your industrial waste, your household waste. So basically, all these factors decide how much our consumption actually is sustainable, how much we impacting our nature and society, and what are we leaving behind for the future. Now, related to this concept of sustainable consumption, we have a concept called World's Overshoot Day. Now, it's actually an annual event calculated by the Global Footprint Network, which is an international sustainable think tank. It is actually the date at which our demand for the ecological resources and services, because obviously whatever we are gaining, whatever we are taking, whatever we require to live our life comfortably is from the ecosystem, is from the environment. So it is actually the date at which our demand for the ecological resources and services in that particular year exceeds what Earth can regenerate in that year. Normally, what our ecosystem does is that it is regenerating all the resources in a particular amount of time that it needs. For example, if you are extracting water from a water body, our ecosystem of that particular area would try to regenerate that water in the form of precipitation, in a form of snow, in a form of hail, in a form of rain, right? So, but this whole process actually takes some time. It's not like that if you are taking a glass of water out of a river, it would be immediately refilled. No, obviously the whole ecological processes needs to be done at their particular time, and it would take some time to refill that one glass of water in that water body. So this concept of overshoot days is what? That how much we have extracted in a year and how much the earth or the ecosystem will regenerate. For example, in the last year, in the year 2023, August 2nd was the overshoot day. That means that on the date of August 2nd, 2023, we human beings have had consumed all the resources more than what the earth could have regenerated on that day. That means the input is not equal to output. That means that one day, for example, this in 2020, in the year 2024, this World Overshoot Days was July. That means that in lesser time, in 1 year, we have consumed all the resources that the earth needed to regenerate only in the month of July. That means that in the future, when this amount of time, that we are consuming the resources will obviously, with the passage of time, will shorten, and then there will come a day when the earth will not be able to regenerate those resources at a speed at which we are consuming those resources. So ultimately, what would we get? Nothing. We will get no resources. We'll have no water, no food, no minerals, and no clean air to breathe. You must have all heard of the theory of Malthus, Thomas Malthus. If not, then let me briefly tell you. Malthusian actually was proposed by an English economist in 1798, and he wrote an essay called as Principle of Population. He argued, note that it was in 1798, very, 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 very far away past, okay? He argued that the population tends to grow exponentially, that is speedily. Exponent is what? 1 convert into 2, 2 convert into 4, 4 convert into 8, 8 convert into 16. That is the exponential rate. That is very fast, okay? So he argued that the population tends to grow exponentially. However, the resources only increase or are regenerated arithmetically, like 1 plus 1 would be 2, 2 plus 1 would be 3, 3 plus 1 would be 4. So as you can see, the rate of growth of population is very fast and the rate of regeneration of the resources is very slow. So he argued that the population growth is faster, obviously. So what would happen when more people, when the population would increase, then more people would have to live with the less resources. He warned us about the poverty, the famine, the war, and the disease that we are seeing nowadays. That means that the resources are not equally distributed. This is because the people are more in number as compared to the rate of resource regeneration or the resources present. If this growth of population remained unchecked, the Earth's ability to provide would obviously ultimately diminish and the environmental degradation would worsen. The world's overshoot day is actually the reminder to us what Malthus predicted. Now, related to this concept, we have a concept called as triple bottom line, which states that a company needs to commit to focus on the society and environmental concern as much as it focus on making profits. That means that the same concept as a CSR, or it is related to the CSR, that a company or a firm or an organization need not only make profit, but they have to focus on the environment, on the society as well. So the 3 P's of the triple bottom line are very famous. The 3 P's include the people, planet, and profit. Profit is obviously a firm was built, was made to make profit, obviously. So that is the main goal of the organization. But the other 2 P's need to be considered by the organization or the firm or the business, like people, that is the social impact of its activities or its commitment to the people. Now, you have to keep in mind that there's a difference between the stakeholders and the shareholders. Keep in mind the organization do consider the impact of its activities on shareholders, but it rarely does that for the stakeholders. Now, shareholders are obviously important because business, the value, the profitability come from the shareholders, right? So they want to be succeeded in their business, right? But in order for an organization to adopt to sustainability or to be a sustainable organization, it has to take into account the values or the commitments towards the stakeholders as well, rather than the shareholders, like the effect of their decisions, their activities on customers, on employees, on community, etc. So for sustainability, shareholders are also necessary as well as the stakeholders. Okay, and the third P is the planet. That is obviously the activities should consider the concept or the impact of its activities on the planet, on the ecosystem, that how it is polluting the environment and how it must find the ways to reduce that pollution or to mitigate the impacts. Now, next concept of planetary boundaries is obviously also related to the sustainable consumption, sustainability. Now, in year 2009, 9 planetary boundaries, a concept actually was proposed that actually described the limits to the impact of human activities on the Earth system. Like the Earth or the eco services were divided into 9 boundaries or 9 walls or 9 surfaces. And just like if you cross the boundary, these boundaries were created for the environment or for our planet. So just like if you cross the boundary, our planet may not be able to self-regulate anymore. And those boundaries includes, as you can see on your screens, include the climate change, like for example, emission of the carbon dioxide, emission of the methane, emission of other greenhouses gases would obviously create flood, changing weather patterns, etc., that you are seeing nowadays. The second one boundary is the atmospheric aerosol loading, like how much of air pollutant are present in the air. Then we have ozone depletion. That is the depletion, the ozone layer. That is very important for us. Obviously, it is protecting us from the UV radiation, not only us, but also the plants, the animals on which we are dependent on for our survival, right? Then we have the concept of boundary of ocean acidification. That is just like our bodies, just like human bodies, the chemical environment in the water body, specifically ocean, as you are aware, is a home to many essential species, right? So it should maintain a specific or narrow range of pH. So due to warming weather patterns, due to the warming of the weather, the oceans are also becoming warm, which is resulting in more carbon dioxide absorption onto the surface of the oceans, which is actually acidifying those oceans, which is actually doing what? Decreasing the pH of the oceans, which is ultimately affecting each and every species living in these oceans. And obviously, ultimately, that would affect us. Obviously, if the fishes in the ocean dies, what will we eat, right? So this is another boundary. Then we have the freshwater change, that amount of water available for the human and plants. We have the land system change. We have the biosphere integrity. Like biosphere is what? The sphere of life. That is the area where the life exists. Life is what? You, me, animals, insects, plants, everything. So what type of and the biodiversity has, a biosphere has different type of species which perform different functions, right? You must be aware, right? Even an insect, even a lizard has a function, right? So the biosphere integrity or biosphere changes when one of the species extinct. You must have heard of the example where at one time the rabbits and mouse, they actually, in Australia, they actually killed the mouse because they tend to eat their crops, right? So they killed all of the mouse, but as a result, a pest population increased. What was that? That the mouse used to prey on those pests as well. But because they killed the mouse, those quantity of the pest increased, which ultimately produced more negative impact as compared to when the mouse used to impact on their crops. So the biosphere integrity maintains itself in a very delicate way. So this extinction of one species can result in the disturbance of this integrity, which will ultimately affect us. Okay. Then we have biogeochemical flows, like we have the nitrogen cycle, we have the phosphorus cycle. Those cycles, we have the carbon cycle, we have those cycles which we will study or we will discuss in the later sessions, that how those cycles are important. So basically they are important because all of the crops, all of the methane production, all the energy production are actually dependent on the nitrogen and phosphorus cycle, which is a natural cycle, which are two types of natural cycles. So they are very essential. So disturbance on these cycles would ultimately obviously affect us. Then we have the boundary of novel entities, that is chemical pollutants, different compounds like plastic, like aerosols, like uh, PVCs, like volatile organic compounds, etc. How much of those are present in the air? So basically, these 9 boundaries play a very important role, as you will be seeing in the next slide. Here we have it. It's actually the pictorial diagram that those scientists who actually introduced this concept gave out. Now, in 2009, as you can see, that we have these boundaries, right? Now, in 2009, when this concept was developed, you can see that the boundary of the nitrogen cycle and the boundary of the biosphere integrity actually reached the limit, is about to be crossed, as you can see, because it is turned orange. The green color is actually that we are within a safe limit, and outside the green, obviously it's a dangerous level, like the yellow or light color is somewhat safe level that earth can rebound itself, but as the color reaches the color orange, it becomes dangerous and earth might not be able to regenerate or rebound itself. So in 2019, we only crossed like about 2 planetary boundaries, but in 2015, as you can see, we actually crossed the 2 boundaries. One is about to be crossed, and 2 are also about to be crossed, or you can say that the Earth's ability to rebound itself is depleting. And this is a chart for the year 2023. As you can see that we have only 3 boundaries left for us, and the other one we have crossed them, and our ecosystem might not be able to regenerate itself or rebound itself. So it is very, very, very dangerous for us, for the future generation. And if we will not do it right now, if we'll not take into account the sustainable practices, then obviously there would be no future for us. All right. Now, as I previously said, the industry, since the revolution, has played a negative role towards the destruction of our planet, but we have, they have, because of those activities, because of our activities, we are facing the issues like climate change, like natural resource use depletion, waste production. We have polluted water everywhere, or wherever water is safe, it is very scarce. We are destroying the forest, we are polluting our air, we are decreasing the biodiversity, etc. But those industrial activities that are creating those sustainability issues might use those issues as opportunities for themselves. For example, we have, what if that industry find innovative ways through research and development to find ways to, for example, clean the polluted water. So it would not only save the water for that industry, for the future generation, but also would provide more economical benefit to that organization in a way that they have developed. They would be developing a new technology. For instance, development of new energy resource by the petroleum company. Like, for example, if the petroleum company has an issue of methane leakage, then finding a solution for that leakage, or utilizing that leaked methane into other services, would not only benefit, give benefit protecting the ecosystem or protecting the environment, but also ultimately benefit that organization in the long term, that they have developed a new technology, they might develop a new source of energy, etc., right? And they can convert their innovation into product and services, right? So not everything is bad, right? We can convert, we still have the brains, we still have the power to convert our issues into opportunities, but we only have to give out some funding. We only have to use some part of our brains in order to tackle those issues and convert them into opportunities for our own industries. Now, let's discuss what, in your opinion, is the role of government in. Okay, now there's a concept of externalities. Now note it down or keep in mind the concept of externality, that we have a. Okay. Whenever anyone is using an ecosystem service, its a resource, it would definitely, I have been saying that it has impact, right? It definitely has an impact. So basically the word externality is related to that. That is that any economic activity that is affecting a third party, that is not directly related to that activity, is known as externality. Like for example, if an industry is utilizing water, right? Uh, uh, or maybe a company is building a road, right? So the soil erosion as a result of building that road or constructing that road would cause water pollution. That is, that the soil eroded from that area would take the pollutants that were emitted during the construction of that road downstream the area, and it would ultimately enter the water body present over there, and that would affect the people. Now the people being affected were not directly related to the construction of the road, right? So that is an example of the negative externality, that a third party is being affected by that activity, that is construction of the road. Now we have some positive externalities as well. Like for example, there's a private firm, and it is giving rightful taxes to the government, and the government is using taxes. Like for example, we have carbon credits, we have taxes or fines over the emission of the carbon. For example, that firm is producing a lot of carbon dioxide, but it is adhering to the rules and it is giving fine to the government because of those elevated carbon dioxide emissions. So it is giving taxes to the government, and government in return is using that taxes to build a research institute. So that would be beneficial for the third party that wasn't involved in giving the taxes, that wasn't involved in emitting the carbon dioxide, right? So that is example of the positive externality. So basically externality is what? Any effect of an activity, of an economic activity over a third party, on a third party. Okay. So coming back to the topic of discussion, that what in your opinion is the role of government in controlling externalities, and how government can control the externalities, specifically the negative externalities. Mr. Saeed Asad Ali Shah, can you please give your input on the topic of discussion?
Yes.
Please.
Please, what's your question? Can you explain again?
The question that you are seeing on your screen, that what in your opinion is the role of government in controlling the externalities? I just explained the externality is actually any impact of an economic activity on a third party. Like for example, if a company, construction company is building a road over an area that is near to a water body, and due to that construction, some soil erosion will occur and the chemical will run off when a road is constructed into that body, downstream the body, and it would enter that water body, polluting it. And the people living near that water body who were totally not involved during the construction of that road will be affected, obviously, when they will drink the water. That example of the negative externality. We have also positive externality, that is the positive impact of an activity on a third body. That I gave the example that, for example, there is an organization that is creating a huge amount of carbon dioxide emission. Okay, and as a result, it has to pay taxes to the government because the government demanded some specific amount of emissions, but which obviously that organization exceeded, and the organization is honestly giving those taxes to the government, and the government is doing what? It would build a research institute in that area using those taxes, which would be beneficial to obviously the local community, where the people would be taught, people will do research according to their demand. So that is the example of positive externality. So externality can be positive, externalities can be negative. So the question was that what do you think is the role of government in controlling the externalities?
Yes, I got your questions. I can explain through my own job here. We can facing some negative impacts of environment due to construction project uses different types of chemical and generating the waste, which have direct negative impacts on environment and human health. But here we can design the such types of policies, plans, procedures. That's we can spread the awareness to the people around the construction workers, laborers, to every month. To just explain through my job scopes, to conduct the different types of campaigns to awareness, to raise the awareness about the what is the role of the what is the role of waters, and you can preserve, you can to save the water from the future generations. So the government maybe I'm sure to about this to the how to government to play the role in the externality, positive externalities, but this is the main things to spread the awareness, to design the such types of policies, and the equalities is the main things. So I think it's that,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure. Yes.
You were right. You were right. Actually, what you said about spreading knowledge through campaigns, etc., is actually what the
Yes.
government can do. It can educate people over the externalities, over the negative and the positive impact of the activities of different firms, of different organizations, of different industrial activities. Furthermore, it can also produce some policies or some law, like many European countries have put forth, like some regulations that you can emit a certain amount of emissions, not more than that, and not less than that. Okay, and then they also have rules regarding the water pollution as well, that it is a duty of the organization or the firm or the business or the factory, that what it is polluting, it needs to also clean it as well, to clean up the mess. Actually, that is what
Yeah,
the
yeah,
government can do.
yes. Yes, but unfortunately, Pakistan, there's no implementation of a policy related to the environment and climate change, which facing in the global world. Here, we can design some plans, procedures from projects, just like construction environment management plans. We can include the all thing. What is the positive things? What is the negative things? How to impact this? How to impact this? Even to discuss all the things. But we can implement it through the project manner to the project to time. But in Pakistan, unfortunately, to design the many policies to many plans procedure, but I think there's a no implementation. Can see every year we can see to the deforestation, forest fires, floods, uh, global warming increased to day by day, but no one to take a responsibility. But on the environment, I can to suggest every person can be responsible for to the environment and sustainability, because our single efforts will be gone to the an environment and sustainable futures.
Yeah, exactly. Excellent, excellent. Yeah, obviously, each and every one of us is responsible for our ecosystem. Each and every person is responsible to meet those sustainable development goals. Yeah, exactly. Okay, coming towards our next topic, I'll speed it up a little bit because we have less time, and I have to also tell you how to write your report briefly. Now, the next one we have is, we have been repeatedly saying that it is because of the industries, it is because of the anthropogenic activities, it is because of the organizations that we have reached this point. Uh, we have crossed many boundaries of the 9 planetary boundaries that I have already explained. So, what could those business do in order to mitigate all those effects, all those problems that it has created? Simple is that the organization needs to practice ethics. Ethics is what? Moral duties, the moral obligations. It is concerned with the justice. It is concerned with the expectations of the society, fair competition, public relations, social responsibilities, etc. But in terms of business, the business ethics include the code of conduct that a businessman or the organizations are expected to follow while dealing with others. It includes all the things that we have previously discussed in the concept of CSR, that is, public relationship, social responsibilities, corporate behavior, philanthropic activities, each and everything are included in the ethics. And by following the business ethics, the organization can mitigate up to some extent the impacts it has created due to their activities. Now, there are some schools of thoughts. I'll just briefly discuss. There are some schools of thoughts of the past on the normal ethics. Like, for example, we have a concept called utilitarian concept of ethics. It's actually, in simple words, it's a theory that determines that right and wrong is only right and wrong because of its outcome. What is the outcome? Is actually what tells us that what we did was right or wrong. So when we compare this right and wrong thing, or the utilitarian theory, with this concept of CSR or with the concept of sustainability, we can justify that. For example, by adopting to the CSR practices, the CSR can lead to an overall happiness or well-being of the society. For example, if a company invests in reducing carbon footprint, that is, the amount of carbon the company is utilizing and its contribution towards the generation of the greenhouse gases, if the company is investing in reduction of those greenhouse gases, then obviously it would require high cost, right? It would obviously require a large amount of funding. But that's only the case for a short term. If we look at the long term, a healthier environment, improved public health, welfare, innovation designed by the organization are far more better outcome than the funding. Like, by practicing the CSR, we can see that it's not only ethically right, because it is, according to the utilitarian theory, the outcome is beneficial for the long term, not for the short term, but for the long term. Similarly, we have another ethical theory of the past, that in simple term, that is called Kantanian ethics. And in simple words, the Kantanian actually states that the morality of an action depends upon a moral law that is universal and absolute. That means that fix, rather than on the consequences of the action, that what is wrong and what is right only depends on the present or the contemporary law. So when we interpret the concept of sustainability and the concept of CSR in terms of Kantanian ethics, we can say that since CSR deals with the ethical well-being, moral values like well-being of the society, like well-being of the employees, etc., sustainable practice would not only give out profit to the organization, but also for the moral values. Like, for example, if for the CSR activity, an organization is introducing an educational program, or like introducing the concept of carbon credits, so it would be actually acting upon the moral law, right? That what the mess you are creating, it is actually something ethically mandatory for even an individual. If you are creating a mess in a room, you have to clean it up, right? So in that sense, the Kantanian ethics would obviously support the CSR as well, just like the utilitarian theory, that it is actually a moral law to clean up the mess. So the CSR activity, if the organization is creating like educational programs for example, mitigation of climate change, or for the mitigation of the global warming, obviously it is following a moral law, that what mess you have created, you have to clean it up. The organization is actually cleaning up, but also is telling others how to clean up this mess created by that organization in the future, in case they are adopting a similar practice. So basically, in short, we can say that organizations can mitigate for the impacts that they have put forth due to their activities, can be done by following the business ethics. Now, some of the ethical guidelines for the business include transparency, compliance with the regulations. Obviously, you have to take environmental responsibility, that how to protect the environment, what type of social responsibility they have to take, like they have to keep in mind that what their activities are doing to the society, are doing to the environment, and how the stakeholder engagement will help that organization in creating or mitigating the impacts of the pollution. Then obviously life cycle assessment of their products, like how the material was extracted, how it was utilized, how it was converted into the product, and it was used, and how it was discarded. It is included all in the ethical guidelines for the sustainability of the business.
Hello, ma'am. Can you listen me?
Yes.
My question is that on the LCA, please can explain in detail to life cycle assessment.
That will be explained in later session, but I will briefly tell you about it, that whenever we are, an organization is actually producing a product or a service, okay? So it's not creating anything on its own, right? There has to be some raw material extracted from somewhere, right? For example, it would require some minerals from the ores. Maybe, for example, if you are creating lithium-ion batteries, for example, the batteries that we use in our mobile phones, in our laptops. So, for example, the company or organization is producing the lithium-ion batteries. It would need to extract lithium and cobalt from the ores, right? And obviously, those ores, after the extraction, will be transported to their processing unit, where those ores will be cleaned, right? And then they will be separated into lithium, cobalt, and other minerals that were present in those ores, right? And then those lithium and cobalt will be converted into the product or the main active material that is that is present in the lithium-ion battery, right? So during this whole procedure, the life cycle assessment is actually what, from the extraction of the raw material to the product manufacturing, to the transfer of that product to the customers, usage of the product by the customer, and discarding the product by the customer, or if the product has reached its end of the cycle. This whole life cycle of the product is studied in the life cycle assessment, that what type of footprint or what type of impact that product is imposing on the environment, on the ecological services throughout its life. Did you get the point?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Basically, what we do, we study that how this particular product that I have taken, for example, I have taken example of the lithium-ion battery, throughout its whole life, how it was made, how it was used, how it was discarded, and what were the impacts on each and every step. All right. Then next. Okay. Then obviously, all of that, obviously those mitigation steps that organization needs to consider, and the ethical steps that organization need to consider or need to achieve, would not be achievable if the organization itself has no ethical culture. Because in order to develop, in order to adopt the business ethics, an organization needs to develop an ethical culture from top to the bottom, right? It has to have a committed leadership. The leadership will be committed. Obviously, they will make the employees or the other people committed to the ethics, obviously, right? They will develop a code of conduct for the employees, for themselves, for the employees, for the commitment to by the strong ethics, right? And then they would be develop obviously the behaviors and the standards, expected behaviors and standards necessary, obviously, and then obviously transparent behaviors are necessary. Accountability of each and every step, each and every decision is necessary. Obviously, when there is no transparency, when there is no accountability within an organization, there is no ethics. Like the base root of the ethics, the main thing for the ethics is the transparency and accountability. Business ethics or any ethics is based on accountability, right? Then obviously, in order to reach all these goals, you have to train, the organization needs to train and educate its employees regarding the code of conduct and regarding all those moral principles and the moral ethics behaviors that it has to conduct within an organization. It has to teach. The organization needs to teach its employee fair treatment and respect to each and every part, and each and every stakeholders is necessary. And because stakeholder engagement is very essential, obviously, if you are respecting every employee, if you are giving fair treatment to every employee, every stakeholders, obviously they will try to engage themselves, and obviously that would help you in the development of more positive responses or more positive impacts. For example, if you are giving fair treatment to the local community of your factory or your organization, obviously those people will be fair to you as well. And the local community is very well versed, and the local communities are mostly well versed and mostly educated regarding the ecological services of that particular area. So they will help you out as well, right? Finally, recognition and rewards are essential. Whenever you reward people for their best of conduct, for their good activity, that encourages them, and obviously they will ultimately do more better work. Okay. Now, I hope you were able to grasp the essential concept related to the sustainable development, the fundamentals of sustainability. If you have any questions regarding the lecture, you can ask away. If not, then I will continue with the brief description of the assessment.
My question is that about the sustainability. It means if we can design the steps of policies, plans, procedures. So if government not support to us, so how we can implement to in their society, communities, how to we educate the people about the sustainable futures? That's any suggestions?
The thing is, you must have noticed nowadays that the role of government is, I guess, it's being minimized, right? The people all over the world, whenever you see if the people raise voices over a particular concern, then government has no option but to step up, right? Like for example, if there are some chemicals, like there are many campaigns being happening all over the world against the oil industry, right? That the oil spillage, they are spilling oil all over the marine, aquatic environment and ecosystem, etc. So in many areas, the government and even those oil companies did not have any other choice but to give out some CSR, even though they were greenwashing, even though that the concepts were tokenism, but they did some activities in order to calm down the public. So if you are interested in developing or in engaging the people related to this all sustainable concepts, you can, as you were the one, and you were the one that rightfully said that each and every individual is responsible for the sustainability and to follow the SDGs, right? And you were very right about that. Each step is important. One small step is important. If you would do, you have to engage your family in doing so as again, and ultimately your family will tell their friends, their relatives to do so as well, to develop some practices. For example, small practices that do not waste water. If you are going to practice that particular thing in your life, you will tell your family to do so as well. Your family will ultimately tell their friends and relatives to do so. Ultimately, it would have a butterfly effect, like it would, this practice would spread slowly and
Right.
slowly. And secondly, there are many governments nowadays, if you see, like there is a prohibition of trade on those products that are not sustainable. For example, if if the water used to irrigate a particular crop is polluted, it has high level of maybe arsenic or maybe another pollutant, then the countries that they were previously those crop was were being sold to are not buying those crops or that products because they are unsustainable. You must have noticed this practice all over the world. Furthermore, the people are now more open to the concept of sustainability as compared to they were before. Now people prefer the sustainable products. Like there was this survey by the IBM, the company, and they found out that more people were now, their consumer report actually, that more people were willing to pay more money for sustainable product. That was their actually report, I think of 3 to 4 years back. So people are now more aware, and the people are now more conscious toward these practices. So raising the voice would ultimately lead the government to act upon it.
Thank you.
Now, let me just give you the example how you will prepare the assignment. Now, basically, our institute give out two type of assessments for the assignment. We have a concept called formative assessment, and then we have a summative assessment. Now, in the formative assessment, what will you do? You will prepare your assignment according to guidelines that I will be presenting to you next. And you will write the assignment, and then you will send that assignment to the organization, right? Our institute. The institute will get your assignment checked by the assessors, right? The assessors will point out the mistakes that you have on your assignments, right? And then this assignment will be given back to you with the feedback of the assessor, and you will be asked to improve that assignment. You will improve it according to what the assessor wants from you, according to what the assessor find missing in your assignment, and you will improve it. And then you will send this assignment again to the institute, and the institute will again get that assignment checked by the assessor. Now we have, okay, now then if your assignment is up to the standard, obviously the assessor will give out the comment that you have passed the subject. Now this final assessment, that is that you have passed this particular unit because you have fulfilled all the criteria for the assignment, because you have corrected all the mistakes, that is the summative assessment. So we have the formative assessment for you to improve your assignment in order to pass this unit. Then we have, after you have corrected your assignment, we will give you the summative assessment. That is the final assessment that you have passed the subject. Now we have two types of assessors. Like we have internal assessors and we have the external assessors as well. Now after the internal assessor has passed you and they say that you have given out, the assessor has given out the summative assessment, this assignment will be forwarded to the external assessors, who will assess that either the internal assessors has mistaken, has put any mistake in it, or maybe was not fair with the checking, or maybe has done something that was wrong but has approved it, etc. So basically we will be assessing your assignment again and again, but you do not have to worry, because you will be given back the assignment unless until you have corrected it, right? So we will not be failing you unless we will not be failing you unless you are continuously giving out the mistaken assignment. Now you have to, in the assignment, you have to discuss all the learning outcomes that we have discussed in the sessions. Like for example, we have the learning outcome number 1, that the key concept of the sustainability. We have the learning outcome 2, we have the understanding the context of sustainability and the reasons for the urgent action. And related to this learning outcome, the learner has to give out their opinion or their ideas related to all those assessment criteria. Like for example, for the learning outcome 1, we have the assessment criteria 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3, right? Number 1.1 is you would have to describe definition of sustainability and CSR. You would have to describe how sustainability differ from the CSR and why unsustainable CSR may pose a reputational and financial risk for the organization. And number 3, you would have to analyze the reason behind the tragedies of the common and why sustainability must be approached in a systematic way. So basically, you would have to discuss each and every assessment criteria in your assignment according to the scenario that you are provided with. For example, you have the scenario for this particular unit, for the unit 1, for the fundamentals of sustainability. You have to write an assignment according to this scenario. This is not an example. This is actually the scenario on which you are going to write your assignment with. Now, you are actually consider yourself being a sustainability consultant hired by the WTO, that is World Trade Organization, to develop a sustainability report for one of their United Nations Sustainable Development Goals for the 2030. Now, basically, what you would do is pick out any one of the sustainable goal mentioned in the green. You can choose either goal number 6, that is clean water and sanitation. You can choose affordable and clean energy. You can choose climate action, any one of these goals. And you will write a comprehensive report on sustainability for the management team, so that the management team will be able to outline strategies and initiatives that can be implemented, okay, in order to achieve that goal. For example, you have chosen goal number 6 as your desired goal. You can choose the goal according to what you do in your organization, what is your role in the organization, but keep in mind that you have to choose the goal from these goals, okay? Now, for example, you have chosen the goal number 6 as your desired goal to write about, to write a sustainability report about. So what would you do is, you would select the learning outcome number 1, that is understanding the key concept of sustainability and the relation to economic growth and development. And you would write down all 3, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 related to that particular goal, because obviously you have chosen a goal and you have to write the sustainability report according to that goal, right? For example, 1.1 states that you have to describe the most used definition of the sustainability and corporate social responsibility. You will Google the resources. You can find these definitions on the United Nations pages. Okay, then you will write the definitions. Simple as that. Then you will come to the 1.2, that is how sustainability differ from the CSR and why unsustainable CSR may pose a reputational and financial risk for the organization. Now, you will explain this point on the basis of your clean water and sanitation goal. Like, for example, that sustainability in regard should mean the focus should be on ensuring the sustainable management of the water and its sanitation, equality in its distribution for the present and future generation. Or maybe you can write about innovating ways to save the water from depletion or contamination, right? So you will write the concepts of sustainability and CSR generally, and as well as the in context of the clean water and sanitation. Then the 1.3 states that analyze the reason behind the tragedies of the common. I have already explained the concept of tragedies of the common. That is that the individual acting on their self-interest rather than the interest of the others. For example, depleting a shared water body. For example, I gave out the example that a cement industry is continuously using and emptying a reservoir that was meant for the irrigation. So that is the tragedy of the common, that the common people that they used to use that water for the irrigation is now being used for the very selfish purpose of that particular cement industry. So that is a concept of tragedy of common that I already explained. So you would be explaining this concept in regards to the goal number 6, that is clean water and sanitation. For example, you can say that you can put this example like impact of the tragedy of the common on the clean water and sanitations, like resource depletion, like resource pollution, maybe, etc. Right? I think you are getting my point, or if not, I can explain it again. Did you get the point? Well, I'll explain again. Basically, what you have to do is you have to select one sustainable development goal among these, and you have to write a comprehensive sustainability report on that particular SDG. But you have to include all these learning outcomes, but you have to consider the goal that you have selected in your mind. For example, if you are writing about the tragedies of the common and you have selected goal number 6 as the major goal for your assignment, you would write about the tragedies of the common related to that particular goal, that is clean water and sanitation, for instance, right? You can select any other goal. Obviously, I'm just giving you an example. The next, the essay should have essay or the report should have 4,500 maximum. Obviously, that's you can get like about you can use less than 2 or 300 less than 4,500, or 2 or 3 more than 4,500, but not more than that. So keep in mind that you have a word limit to consider. Okay. Excluding the diagrams, references, and appendices. And keep that in mind when you are writing a report. Obviously, you are getting different data from different sources, right? For example, if you are writing the definition of sustainability or CSR, you would be getting that from a particular source, right? So you have to give the citation for that source. Now, the citation in text is essential as well. And you will in-text in a way that, for example, if you have used a research article written by, for example, Ali, anyone named Ali and his colleagues, you would, and that was published in 2024. So you would write in-text citation, like after that information, you would write Ali et al. 2024. This is how. And small bracket, right? This is how you would put the citation in text. Plus, you would also give the bibliography or a reference list that you have utilized in preparation of that report at the end of the report as well, in the Harvard referencing style. The Harvard referencing style, you can use Google Scholar for that, okay? That's it for today. If you have any question, you can ask regarding the assignment preparation or regarding the lecture or the session. In case of any confusion, you can put your question in the WhatsApp group of this OTHMR WhatsApp group. You can put your question over there. You will be answered immediately. Any question?
Well, thank you. It was a very informative sections. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you for attending our sessions. Anyone else want to give their input or ask any question? All righty. That's it. Thank you for attending today's sessions. It was a nice interaction. Hope to see you on our next session. Allah Hafiz, and have a good day.